Factorio has a lot of hidden shortcuts and tips. A lot of these are not very intuitive. I've got about 20 of them here, so let's get right to it. The first one, and I think the most important one, you can select a ghost cursor by just pressing Q on just about anything. You can do it off the logistic menu, you can do it off the crafting menu, you can do it anywhere. And this selects a ghost cursor. You don't have to go in remote view to place a ghost, like I did for over 100 hours. You can also use Alt and scrolling up and down to select the quality of that ghost cursor. Number 2, clipboard has a history. If you copy something, and then copy something else, and then you paste, you can hold Shift and scroll up and down to see the previous things you copy-pasted. Number 3, you can Alt and right-click to create a pin on the map, and this will show up on the right side. This is very useful for pinning important things. I've got my science meters over here. Ignore the fact that a couple of them are a little bit low, and a couple of my ships pinned. Number 4, you can write K or M to abbreviate numbers in here. So in here, I can write 2M, and it goes 2 million. Same with K. I'm pretty sure B works as well, though I've never had to use it. We can test it right now. Nope, B doesn't work, actually. Nope, only K or M for 1,000 or million. Number 5, on a platform, if you can't figure out why it's leaving, you can mouse over the red light, and it will list your unfulfilled requests without you having to check here to see what exactly is being unfulfilled. It will tell you straight up what is missing. Very useful. Number 6, this is a big one and was a game changer for me. You can alt-click soil on Gleba to see what soil can be placed on it. Whether you can have overgrowth soil, regular soil, or neither. This is very useful because the colors on the map are not very intuitive, but spend a little time alt-clicking soils, and you will quickly realize how it actually works, and it will become a lot more intuitive. Basically, you can place overgrowth soil in a lot more places than you might think. Number 7, you can click icons under the logistic chests to see where they're located, either for buildings or for where the items are located in what chests. Now, this one might be a little obvious, but let's just say I didn't learn it for longer than I should have. Number 8, some rail tips. When placing signals on rails, if you've got a spot where a signal can go on 2 different rails, you can press R to have it change which one it attaches to. Another rail tip, number 9. When placing rails themselves, you can press R to rotate the ghost rail planner. This is holding down Shift and tapping R to give different curves. Number 10, another rail tip. You can control-click the add station. This also works on platforms to add a temporary stop. And you can add like a really long wait condition if you want a train to wait there until you manually intervene or something like that. Number 11, you can control left-click when placing rails to avoid obstacles or not. This is, right now I'm holding down Shift, and this is pressing Control, on and off. It alternates between whether it goes over obstacles or goes around them. Number 12, recycling time is based off the crafting time. If something has a very short crafting time, it will recycle a lot faster. This means for something like concrete, which normally takes 10 seconds to craft, if you make it into hazard concrete first, it will recycle almost instantly. This is essentially almost required for some things, because if you don't use like this trick for concrete and say for steel boxes as well, then recycling them takes an insane amount of time. This will heavily reduce the amount of stuff that is produced. It'll still recycle, down to concrete or down to steel, but there'll be much, much, much less that you have to deal with if you make it into one of these 2 things first. These 2 are the ones that I found that I really needed to do it on. I haven't done it for anything else. Number 13, I think, superconductor. And any of the materials that are used to craft the Tier 3 modules, so tungsten carbide, spoilage, biter eggs, and superconductors. The special material that's aside from the modules and the circuits. do not recycle down into the constituent components. They only recycle into themselves. This can be either good or bad, depending on what you're trying to do, but it generally makes getting quality ingredients of those particular things a bit harder. Number 14 or so. If you want to transfer logistic groups between saves, you just create a constant combinator, list everything in the combinator, and then transfer that combinator. I guess I removed the one I placed already, but yeah, you just make a single constant combinator, list all your logistic groups in it, and transfer that between the saves, and then voila. All your logistic groups will be transferred between the saves. Number, I'm losing count. Efficiency mods in biochambers reduce the nutrient consumption. This only reduces the nutrient consumption here. This does not reduce the nutrient consumption for the actual ingredients. For example, it will reduce this nutrient consumption, but it will not reduce this one for the pentapon eggs. Maybe worth it for you, maybe not. I'm still using prod, but it's definitely a viable option and something to think about. Another tip. Don't put Tesla turrets near biter spawners. Tesla turrets have splash damage even if you tell them to only target biters. If you have a big biter egg farm, if you have Tesla turrets near here, the lightning will chain from the biters to your egg thingies, and it will destroy them. So use laser turrets or, gun turrets only. Laser is obviously the easiest one to use. If you set it up properly, you shouldn't need very many to begin with. Another tip. You can request robos at roboports. As you can see, we've got all legendary robots right here on Fulgora now. We have upgraded the entire planet to 3,400 legendary robots. Obviously, I had regular robots here first. How to get them out? Well, you simply set a request. And this will cause them to come here and station in there, and then you can just have an inserter pull them out and feed them into a recycler and replace them with legendary bots. It's definitely the easiest way to do it and makes upgrading to higher quality bots relatively smooth and painless. Another one. Alt left and right arrow will toggle remote views. I haven't found this one particularly useful, but it's still an interesting interaction. It will toggle to the previous ones that you've seen. We just looked at the biters. That's pressing left once. And over here. And then now we're going back here. There's Gleba. But yeah, alt left and right can be used to cycle through your remote view history. The last tip I've got for you today. When it comes to blueprints, you can do a lot in this little box. This essentially takes full Lua code and parameterization, and you can set it up to be quite fancy and get some pretty specific values based on variables. It's right now being used rather extensively in my gamble circuit. I'm planning on expanding it to more of my circuits, but you can get very specific. I wish this box was a little bigger, but I don't think they really fully understood the Pandora's box that they unleashed by adding the ability to have that kind of stuff in there. But yeah, you can get very specific. Right now, this little equation requests 30 seconds of crafting time for an item, but does not exceed 200. But it will also not go under the amount it takes to craft the item once, even if those numbers are over 200. Yeah, you can do pretty complex stuff like that. So there you go. 20 tips or so, give or take, that hopefully will help you out. I'm Stupid Fat Hobbit. I stream at Twitch TV SF Hobbit. Thanks for watching.